So I don't really believe that Giannis is going to want out of Milwaukee. Seems like everything's going pretty well. Seems like he wants to be there. But we have seen times where the relationship between a star and his team goes in the wrong direction pretty quickly. So I guess we have to accept that the chances of it happening with Giannis and the Bucks, it's higher than 0%, and sometimes that can be enough for things to get real wild, as we've seen in the NBA. So to me, if he really became available, well, number one, there's no guarantee the Bucks would even trade him. They still might just want to try to reconcile the relationship all the way to the end. The other thing is, if they were really going to trade him, I feel like they would still want to be good. I don't think they'd want to tear it down, because I think Giannis is so damn good. Like, you've got to trade him for young stars. You're not trading him for maybe stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be a certainty that at least two of the dudes you're getting back for Giannis are going to be on your team for a while, and they're both really good with room to improve. And at the risk of sounding like a homer, the first team I thought about was the Celtics. They're not as loaded with draft picks anymore, but it'd be interesting to see would it be Jalen and Kemba Walker. I guess it would depend on where Kemba's at. I mean, he's had some knee problems, and we'd have to see there. I don't know if Jalen and Hayward would really get it done. If I was the Bucks, I wouldn't be super excited about Hayward. He's a good player, but I don't know if that would do it for me. Jalen and Tatum would certainly do it for me if I was Milwaukee, but I don't think the Celtics would want to do that. So it would just be interesting to see. I mean, would the compromise be like Jalen, Kemba, and like 2 or 3 firsts? Probably 3 or 4 firsts, if I'm being honest. Because then the idea for the Bucks is you got Kemba, Jalen, Middleton, and whatever else from there. And then for the Celtics, you're pairing up Giannis with Tatum, and you hold on to like one decent player in Hayward. So I don't know. I don't know what the move is and all that. But I think amongst all those pieces moving around, you could find the trade. I mean, I think for the Celtics, if it was in any way possible to make that move and hold on to one of Tatum or Jalen, do you not do it immediately? I mean, I love Tatum, but let's say the team was Jalen, Giannis, and Hayward. At that point, you just find a point guard who doesn't suck, you know what I mean? I think Miami has made it pretty obvious that they are at least intrigued. Or not intrigued, that's not the word. Everybody would be intrigued by Giannis. They're looking to see if Giannis will really just go to free agency, and they're putting themselves in a position to do that. But if he was going to be available via trade, I mean, you imagine Bam would be moving. And then depending on how Hero, Kendrick Nunn, those guys improve, then perhaps, I mean, maybe Hero averages like 17 a game next year and it becomes apparent, oh, this dude could be a 20-point scorer pretty fast. Then perhaps he and Bam could be the starting point. Miami's draft pick situation is not loaded moving forward, but it's not horrible if you're going to go out into the distant future. And to be fair, if you're going to get Giannis, you're probably going to be okay with trading picks into the distant future. We got to assume Golden State would be in on this as well. They, of course, have their own pick this season, which we'll see where that ends up. There is the Wolves pick. We're going to have to see where that ends up. But maybe the Warriors would... maybe they would draft some star player out of this draft. I mean, what would be a fair trade for Giannis? Like, it's the Wolves pick. Let's say they draft LaMelo, and LaMelo ends up being really good. And then Pascal, then would Clay be the make it or break it point? I mean, it is Giannis we're talking about. Would you not trade Klay Thompson for Giannis? Because I certainly would. I don't know. I guess that would be a clash of what the Warriors have been and what they could be moving forward. And I don't really think the Bucks would be interested in Draymond. I mean, I wouldn't be. The dude's making a bunch of money, and I mean, he's fine if he's my fourth option and my top option is one of the best players in the league, but that wouldn't be the case in Milwaukee if that trade went down. I feel like if Jamal Murray takes a big step next season, then perhaps that could be a Giannis trade. If Murray's averaging 25 a game and Michael Porter Jr. is also killing it, then perhaps that could be a type of thing there. OKC is interesting. I mean, would it be Shea? I mean, of course, they've got enough draft picks to last like 7 lifetimes, so you start dipping into that whole thing. It's mainly dependent on the Clippers, Rockets, and Heat, which, you know, all 3 of those teams are good right now, so take that for whatever you will. But I feel like Shea, you would need another like 26, 27-year-old who's really, really good. You know, Gallo's not going to get that done. CP's too old, so I don't think it would happen there. If you were the Pelicans, would you trade Zion? How about a Zion and 3 first-round picks as a starting point for Giannis? I would do that if I was the Pelicans. I mean, yeah, Zion's great. Giannis is better. Just point blank the way it is, you know? Let's see, what else? Would Dallas trade Porzingis? You get a Luka and Giannis thing going on. I don't know if Porzingis would be good enough. I feel like there would need to be more stuff, but Dallas's draft picks are not great moving forward. I bet you Phoenix would try to offer something of like DeAndre Ayton and Kelly Oubre, and that I don't think Milwaukee would be up for that one. I wonder if the Sixers would trade Embiid, or if the Bucks would want to take Embiid back. Would they trade Ben Simmons? We'll go with a Giannis Embiid frontcourt. Spacing would be kind of weird, but the other team would never score on you. And Toronto is kind of interesting, but they have a bunch of guys who are about to be free agents, and I feel like that kind of throws it off. Unless you were just going to basically do Siakam and stuff for Giannis, but it's going to take more than and stuff. You're going to need you need at least 2 damn good players, you know? And one of who has not hit his ceiling yet. And it's tough to really find that. I wonder if the Pacers would be a wild card in this. Like, let's say Oladipo gets back to being real Oladipo. Could you not trade him with... See, I don't know. Like, would you do Oladipo and Sabonis? And then your team is Brogdon, TJ Warren, Miles Turner, and Giannis? Because if I was the Bucks, I wouldn't care about any offer they gave me unless it was Oladipo and also Sabonis. Because I would just assume that any Giannis offers are just insane pretty much, with all-stars or perhaps multiple all-stars being talked about in moves. I guess if we're also going to operate in a world in which the relationship between the Bucks and Giannis would fall off, which I don't think any of this is going to happen, but there's nothing else happening in basketball, so here I am. If he wanted out, then I assume teams would do a damn near anything to get the cap space for him. Where would he want to go? That's the thing, right? Because, where would be a better situation than the Bucks? I mean, I mentioned Miami earlier. They're clearly preparing themselves for the summer of Giannis. So, yeah. And the way they're set up between Hero and Kendrick Nunn's contracts and all that, they could keep a lot of those guys while taking Giannis on, because a lot of these guys are on their rookie contracts. I mean, it is pretty insane what Miami has managed to do this year with finding good players on rookie deals between Hero. Bam is on his, but they'll extend him after next season. I mean, it'll be a little interesting because Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn will be up for extensions in 2022, so Miami would have to play it a little carefully, but I would assume they could still stay under the cap and give Giannis and Jimmy an actual team. I don't think my Celtics would have a chance at Giannis in free agency because they're going to have to extend Tatum, and Tatum's getting the max. So at that point, that would be the team unless there was a sign and trade. I mean, the Knicks have cap space in 2022. Do we want to go that route again? I don't think Giannis is going to end up on the Knicks. If I was ever going to pick one team again, I hope Giannis stays in Milwaukee because I like having him there. It's cool when one guy sticks in one place. And also, they're a good, fun team to watch and all that stuff. Now, if I had to pick one team to see him on besides my Celtics, if we are actually in that world, then it would be my second favorite team, the Trailblazers. But I don't really know the avenue for which it would happen. I mean, you would need Zach Collins to become amazing this upcoming year. I mean, he would have to be switching across every position, making threes, going off the dribble. He'd have to do a lot of stuff. And then you could pair him up with like CJ McCollum and a whole bunch of picks, but it's like that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So then it'd have to be free agency and you can dream, right? Anyway, that's it. It's me spitballing on Giannis stuff. I think he'll be with the Bucks.